Going live, and you are live. What is going on, everybody? RogersBase here with my live reaction to One Piece manga chapter 1143. Seeing lots of familiar faces in chat today. The chapter literally just dropped on Viz, so we're about to read it for the first time. I do want to be transparent, though, because I always am whenever this happens. I was spoiled on the last page of this chapter. Somebody tweeted it at me. Like directly tweeted it at me yesterday and was like, oh my gosh, what do you think about this? And like, do you think there's going to be a future matchup for Loki? I was like, bro, why would you do that? Thankfully, I haven't been spoiled on the rest of the chapter. Before the last page, I have been spoiled. So just keep that in mind when we're reading. I don't know what else happens, but I do know that last page. So with that being said, let's start reading this One Piece manga chapter 1143. We're looking at a color spread of the Straw Hats, which is really nice. It says, based on a reader request, a Straw Hat Crew car chase by Negazile. Is that how you say their name? Speed is the weapon. You're getting this really cool thing with all these flying fish cars. I love that Chopper's on the back of Zoro's. Interesting that Zoro's is blue and not green. Also interesting that Sanji's is green and not blue. What are they trying to say there? That's kind of interesting. You also see Sanji holding up the little, his little champagne glass or whatever with the tomatoes on there. And it says One Piece in giant balloons up there. You got Brook also doubling on Robins as well. Looks like Usopp is riding with Frankie. Now, Luffy and Nami and Sanji are riding solo, though. Everybody else is in duos. So what's happening here? Where's Jinbei? Oh, Jinbei's swimming. I see. I was going to say, where is Jinbei? I see Jinbei swimming in the water underneath. That's kind of a nice little touch. They're having him swim to race along with these fish. I love the racer outfit for Nami as well. I feel like this is all perfect. If we were ever going to see the One Piece characters in Mario Kart, they would probably look like this. They would be in racer outfits like this. My favorite one is definitely the Nami one. I think the Nami one looks really good with the little, what does it say on the side? Chanel? It says Storm on one side. Oh, Storm and Channel. Okay. Interesting. What's the other one? See, I was assuming that there were like little advertisements all over their racing jacket. I got to zoom in and check on that again. But either way, this is a beautiful color spread. I always like color spreads. Let's get started. One Piece manga chapter 1143. Holy Nights. Hey, wait, y'all. Ilva, Maj, Ronja. They're really sleepwalking. All right, so Saul caught up with them. You can see the nightmares are still running rampant at the Walrus house. You got the storm clouds over there. You got some giant, looks like a Luigi's Mansion ghost that's like sloshing around the ground. What is this white cloth? And where exactly are y'all going? Be careful, Saul. Remember, the other teacher said, do not touch the children. And he was all bloodied up. Well, I know he did, but I don't see anything wrong with them. And it's dangerous for them to keep walking like this. This is obviously going to be a problem. So whatever Saul is going to do, there you go. Oh, so interesting. Interesting. So this is obviously Summers, because we've seen Summers with like the weird thorns. And we've been talking about the fact that he probably has some type of rose fruit or something like that. So here you go. Okay, he's got a bunch of thorns around him. And Saul's biting down. Ew! What was that, Saul? What happened? Did something stab you? So this obviously is like Summer's power working alongside what's it, Killingham or whatever the new dude's name is. Or the two of them, where one of them is like sending these kids to sleep and sleepwalking and bringing their nightmares to life. And then the other one is basically stopping anybody from touching them. That's kind of an interesting power, having these invisible thorns. But so maybe it's not necessarily like a rose fruit. Maybe it's more like a thorn fruit. What was that, Saul? Did something stab you? This is the Walrus School. All the children have suddenly fallen asleep. And out of those, 9 of them have started walking, but we don't know where they're going. All right, so we're continuing on from the Western Village. It's not clear why or how this is happening, but there's also been a surge of strange monsters in the forest. And then now you're getting Dory and Broggy and the rest of them over at the tavern going, the kids at the school? Wait a minute, my son's there, Dory and Broggy? Oh, no. That's somebody else just saying my son's there. For a second, I thought Dory and Broggy have a kid. I was like, weren't they fighting for 100 years over in Little Garden? But no, okay, that's somebody else in the village saying my son's there. Monsters? Are the children safe? The children are traveling down Branch Route 8 at the moment. Okay? Transponder snail pill bug. This only works in Elbaf. That's kind of interesting. They got roly-poly snails. There's a fire, too. I mean, what's with all this sudden danger? Did something happen back at the school? So Nami's there with Jinbei. You can see all the giant food behind them. And they're finding out all the information that we've known for a couple weeks. Did you say branch 8? It's not looking good over there. Okay. No, that's the school where my granddaughter's granddaughter Ilva goes. Oh, Ilva goes. Because he's drunk. I forgot that he's slurring all of his words at this point. I was like, who's Ilva Ghosh? How many generations is that? Look, I think you've all had enough to drink. How about you stop now? You should get it together. And meanwhile, Brooke's super drunk now too. His poor little head is falling off of his body because he drank so much. All right, that's quick work. So you can see one of the little skiffs is flying off over there. The firefighting spar is now on the way. You got this, firefighters. We're counting on you. I like the design of the guy in front. He looks a little bit like Burgess and like Frankie. He's got the big burliness and he's got the little coat on. But wait a minute. What is that? So this is going to be one of the nightmare monsters. You can see this giant Norse skeleton coming out of the forest and slapping on the skiff. Huh? Dory and Bragi and Jarl and everybody are like, what the heck is that? Gee! You see how shocked those giants were when they got stabbed by the thorns? It's just like the famous saying, every love has its thorns. So Summers is already just like sitting down and having a meal as he's explaining his powers. I never heard of it. You're so apathetic, Gunko. You know that? Love is the passion to reach out and squeeze someone tight, even as you see the thorns up close. The best part of this game is when it's parents and children. Parents hug their kids tight, thorns and all. And then when the kids scream and wail, they see their worst nightmare. Mommy and daddy dying in agony. There's real emotion in killing. And here we go. We get the Oda box confirmation. Saint Summers, thorn fruit, thorn man Saint Summers. Okay. Again, thorn power is interesting. I feel like we did at some point. Didn't we have a character that was like prickly? Who am I thinking of? From Alabasta with the spike balls. What's her name? Miss Doublefinger. No, yeah. Miss Doublefinger, right? The one that Nami fought? See, for some reason in my mind, I was like, I thought we had a character with spikes. Miss Doublefinger, exactly. The spike fruit. So there's a difference between spikes and thorns. It's still weird to see this coming back again. I really did think it was going to be something related to the flower, but I'm cool with this too. That's fine. Death by love. Isn't that just so exciting? And Gunko is still not moved by any of this. Also, you can see Killingham is eating with them as well. No interest. The woman who never knew love. Okay, so Summers is falling over. Which route did you choose, Gunko? There was a thick branch that ran down the middle. Killingham's looking a little concerned as he's munching down on his food. And you can see a little map top down of Elbaf with the Walrus School, the Owl Library, the Western Village, and the port. And as Gunko's eating, she says if they walk straight that way, they'll reach the village's clouds. The middle one's good. It stands out better. Makes their utter futility all the more apparent. Summers, I need a bit more salt. Salt? Also, what the heck is going on here with the weird little rings? Oh, is he gonna like pull it from his thoughts and then make it real? Oh, that's gonna be kind of cool, actually. So he instigates the question. Oh yeah, interesting. See, this is weird because I guess I'll talk about that in the review. That's fine. I'll wait. I'll wait till the end. But this is interesting that this is his power like this. Okay, Saint Killingham, Dragon Fruit, mythical type model Kieran, the dream manifesting man. Asphalt's rock salt. This is really gourmet stuff. Well, of course, he's working with the celestial dragons. Of course, everything he eats is going to be gourmet. You can wake up now. He's holding the salt up. Huh? What about the sleep tids you pulled out of those brats' dreams? Sleep tids. I can keep them going at the same time, of course. But this salt goes perfectly with the meal. Well, I'll try some. Anyway, speaking of the giant's boats in the village, apparently they draw numbers in the sky with those painter rocks. Oh, it is delicious. Let's try it. He's thinking of gourmet food. He's able to pull it out. I mean, that is a pretty good power. I just did not think the Kirin had those kind of powers based on everything that we read a couple chapters ago when he was first introduced. All right. Real unique culture they've got. All we have to do is take one of those to return to the Holy Land. We've basically won already. It's too easy. This is a baby game for babies. Okay, so we're getting their full conversation while they're eating. I'm very full now. And all this is 0 calories? Yeah, it's dream food. So it's also 0 energy too. Well, don't worry, Summers, there will be trouble. I saw a pirate ship moored on the sea clouds of the village. The Emperor of the Sea, Straw Hat Luffy, is here. I also find that kind of interesting too, that the dream food is 0 calories. So essentially, you could just do dream food of your favorite calorie-rich, high in fat sauce and get as much as you want from your dreams and put it on your bland chicken, and then you're good. You're getting the nutrients of the chicken, but you're not getting any of the bad stuff. That is an incredibly good power. Interesting. All right, wait, the kids are walking towards the fire. See, you didn't expect this, but not to worry. If they can die, we can send more. All right. Damn you, Loki. Go on, Haruden, try and stop me. Dolga! But no, you can't possibly stop me. You can't even lift Ragnir. So we're jumping back to the stuff with Loki now. Oh, so we're near the end of the chapter because the panel that I saw had Loki in it. So I just hope that no one gets hurt in the Sun World. They will. The flames will only spread further. So make your choice. Will you undo the last cuff and free me? Who is this enormous giant anyway? He was really badly injured, so I wanted to help him. And meanwhile, we're jumping back to Loki. Or will you all choose death? I'll only keep taking the lives of those weaklings in the Sun World if you don't answer me. And meanwhile, Harden's trying to stop him, saying, wait! Don't get suckered in, Haruden. Zoro, I guess I gotta do it. If he can move, I'll stop him. That was the deal. Okay, that is a cool shot there on page 12 where he's holding down the hammer. Wait, Straw Hat. He's going to electrocute you if you get too close. Very well, then. I hear your answer. Stop this, Loki. If you hit the children, there's no turning back. Well, make sure you go easy on him, Luffy, or his wounds will get worse. And you can see he's not even gear 5 for this one. He's saying, gum, gum, trying to build up an arm balloon, but it's not even a... Damn. I think I've lost this one. And you can see Luffy... Wait, but he's infusing it with armament hockey, bro. He said to go... Oh, no, it's not. It's not. That's just his helmet on the top. It looked like the part of the arm in the armament hockey ball. I was like, what is this? So arm balloon punches him. No hockey at all. And it knocks poor Loki over. It makes sense, though, considering how much he's been damaged with all the stuff with the Celestial Dragons and the God Knights and things. Okay. Punching Loki over, and there he goes. Kind of cool shot there of Sanji and Zoro and Luffy all still standing together. Pretty neat. And then Loki falling to the ground. He really was already at death's door. He was summoning all the strength that he had left on a simple gamble. If his bluff had worked, he would have escaped so that he could collapse somewhere in secret. But I just can't imagine that working. I mean, based on the amount of blood he's lost. It's up to you whether to heal him or to let him die. Well, I had business with Loki too, but it had to wait when I saw how bloody he was. It's true. Whoever attempted to kill Loki, this is a separate incident from the matter of his own crimes. And I might think I know who it was. Okay, he doesn't think it's going to be the Celestial Dragons. Please, Haruden, help him out a little. I don't want to let him die no matter who he is. And Harden's looking down at Luffy. Okay. Until he's fully healed? That'll probably take months. Well, he doesn't need to be fully healed. He just did that whole gambit last chapter with like 1 HP. You can get him to 50 HP, he'll be fine. If you really want to see him recover, you shouldn't leave him in a place like this. If he's taken to the village, it'll only lead to more calls for execution. They'll end up killing him. They really hate him that much? He's an irredeemable scumbag. So those oh, that's nice. That's cool to see that. So those horns turned out to be real, huh? A holdover from his ancient giant blood. just like his father Harold. You know, the more that they keep showing him without the helmet on, without everything else, I do feel like when they eventually take off the bandages on his eyes, I think he's going to have like really beautiful like shoujo eyes. I feel that's where he's going to go with this. I feel like they're going to do something because Loki seems so badass throughout the course of this whole arc so far, right? And I feel like that's going to be a very Oda-like thing to make him have these goofy little eyes. All right, here we go. Now this is the page that I saw right here. This is the page that I saw. So Haruden and then Loki both talking to the king, saying, "You are my sons, and I love you both. I want you two to work together to support Elbaf after I'm gone." I can't believe this tiny weakling is supposed to be my big brother. You're just a bastard. You're not our father's legitimate son. You hear that, Haruden? Your mother had filthy blood in her veins. So obviously for Haruden, this is personal. Him slamping down on him and everything like that. No wonder he hates him so much. And meanwhile, Harden's standing there with the axe directly above Loki, thinking back to about to chop his head off. Wait. Don't lose control, Harden. I've never forgiven him for what he did. He insulted my mother and killed my father. Go on. Do it, you sad little berserker. Or perhaps, instead of indulging in your petty personal drama, take a look at the wood around us. They all say I went and killed Dad with pure murder in my heart. But you don't believe that, do you? And you got Loki using the last of his little breath. You could see the little breath coming out of it. Still staring on the ground. And Haruden hesitating to bring down the axe on him. And that is One Piece manga chapter 1141, or 1143, excuse me. And we're done. Okay. I think this one is going to be a relatively easy one because there's some interesting bits here. I think the stuff with Haruden and Loki's childhood is eventually going to be interesting, like seeing that fleshed out more. I obviously, like, there's a lot of stuff in here that I feel like we've theorized for a really long time, but it's nice to just finally see it confirmed. Like, it's cool to see the flashback, even if it's only a little bit of a flashback. It's cool to see this flashback with child Loki and child Haruden and, like, their rivalry as kids. I also think it's pretty cool to get the semi-confirmation at the end of this chapter that Loki, obviously there was something else going on in that situation where Jarl saw him, you know, killing the king and all the other comrades. Obviously, Loki is not going to turn out to be a completely irredeemable scumbag. I do feel like the end of Elbaf is going to have the two of them working together like brothers. I can absolutely see sort of like a parallel panel maybe towards the end of Elbaf where they're fighting against like the God Knights or, you know, kicking off Final War or whatever. And you see Harden with the axe on the side of the Straw Hats with his grand fleet of the new giant pirates. And you get Loki with his hammer on the other side, you know, and then you got Luffy standing in the middle and they're working together finally like brothers to finally, you know, bring Elbaf back to the glory days. I like this. I like all that little stuff with Loki and Harden. I actually want to see more of this. I feel like everything this chapter left me wanting more. I feel like this is one where I just needed to find out a little bit more information because I feel like the reveals were all things that we kind of already speculated multiple times already. Like we kind of already knew the Thorn thing was Saint Summer's power, and we kind of already knew the Kieran power for Killingham. But the one thing that I want to bring up and the one thing I want to talk about is that from my experience and from what we discussed on stream before, Kierans don't have dream powers, right? Like the traditional powers are not that. If I look this up, it says they're benevolent creatures known for their connection to purity, justice, and wisdom, often depicted having the ability to control lightning, fire, and other elements. But there's not really like anything about dreams in here. A lot of the time they breathe lightning. A lot of the time, you know, they're depicted as dragons. I mean, we've seen this straight up in the Monster Hunter games where you fight the Kierans, right? They're like lightning monsters. So I do wonder where this dream thing is coming from. And if this is not a regular power of like Kieran's, why did he give this power to him instead of just making it like a dream fruit or something like that? Because we haven't had a dream fruit, have we? I don't believe we have. Or like, yeah, hypnosis fruit or something. There could have definitely been something of like making dreams reality without utilizing the Kieran as the base. It's just strange. It's like he took this mythical creature and he's like, and also one thing I find interesting here is that you could see the sub-faction of this mythical type fruit is dragon fruit, which is very, very cool. Because obviously up to this point, we've had Momonosuke, we've had Kaido. But I like the idea that we're going to end up seeing other, dragons and mythical creatures that are sub-classified as dragons. I think that's kind of neat. So dragon fruit, mythical type, Kirin, dream manifesting man. I do want to look this up again. Dreams. Kirin power dreams. Again, this is very strange that when I type in Kirin power dreams, all these things that come up, all link back to One Piece. The villain's power in One Piece, Kirin in One Piece, Killingham's model fruit. It's all that. So it's just very strange to me that they wouldn't utilize like any of their powers. My assumption is that he's going to utilize the other powers of the Kirin for something else. I'm seeing here, what's this? It's a wild maned creature with the torso of a deer, an oxtail, and the hooves of a horse, writhed in flame and smoke. That's the thing about it, though, is like his little, what's it called? His little smoke thing that we saw around him before is also different, too. This is just this entire scene where they're just, like, having lunch in the middle of the forest after, forcing these kids to sleepwalk and putting thorns all over them. It's just interesting. All of the stuff with the God Knights I find fascinating. And I guess this is further confirmation that What's-His-Face is out of there. Like, we had speculation during the last chapter that maybe we'd have a situation in which, what's his face? Why am I blanking on the name? Shanks' brother. Shamrock, thank you. I don't know what's happening. I haven't gone through all my morning coffee just yet. First thing I'm doing when I'm waking up is reading this. Well, I kind of remember Shamrock. I almost said Stabs. Because of how long we called him Stabs. No, but Shamrock, exactly. I think it's interesting that we basically see here Shamrock's gone. So my assumption is we really aren't going to get stuff with Shamrock throughout the course of the rest of this arc. I feel like he is actually gone. I feel like he did actually go through the portal. And that the next time we're going to see him is like in Marijoa near Final War, which I also think is interesting to have him not meet Luffy during all this before he leaves. I don't know. I mean, maybe we are going to see him leaving at some point, but I think a lot of people were right in their reading of the scene in which you saw the, the portal, and that he would have just gone through it right away. I'm just interested in the God Knights characters. I want to see more. I've been saying I think they're a really interesting sub-faction. I feel like a lot of the time Oda will do these sub-factions of characters, whether it's, members of like the Don Quixote family or like Big Mom's family or, the sub-classes of the Revolutionary Army. And a lot of the time there's at least one or two of them whose designs I don't really like. But so far, he is, technically if you're counting Garling, he's 5 for 5. With the God Knights. I really like every single one of their designs. I like Garling's design. Obviously, I think it's cool to see Shamrock. I love Gunko's design. I like Summer's design. And I like Killingham's design. I feel like he's probably going all out with some of his coolest designs with these God Knight characters. He's figuring, look, we're at the end of the series. These are going to be characters that are the, people going against the Revolutionary Army. We're going to do something interesting. Thank you, by the way, Naman. Coming through with 5 gifted memberships. Greatly appreciate that. Nakama. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Naman. Drop it on through. Very cool. I really do like all of the God Knights designs, and I want to see more from them. I just feel like, again, a lot of the stuff that we saw here is stuff we kind of already knew. The only thing we could really break down is this whole conversation on page 10, where he said, what about the sleep dids that you pulled out of the brat's dreams? So we get sort of a name for those mysterious creatures, sleep dids. And then we find out this whole information that if he creates food, it doesn't give you energy. I feel like that is going to be important at some point. Something in my brain is going off with them specifically bringing up that the food is 0 calories and you get 0 energy from it. Like, obviously, we've seen over the course of the past couple arcs that the way that Luffy is getting his energy back is from eating. And so I wonder if there's going to be a situation, because he made a point to do this scene, I wonder if there's going to be a situation in which maybe Killingham like pulls a lot of fruit out of a dream or like pulls a lot of food out of a dream and drops it somewhere. And then Luffy's in the middle of a fight and he's like, I need energy. Oh, thankfully food. And he eats the food and then he doesn't gain any energy back. And he's like, wait, what the heck is going on? I'm still tired. I feel like that's probably going to be something that's going to happen at some point. Holy mackerel. Whoa, Naman coming through with 20 memberships. 20 gifted memberships. Naman, thank you very, very, very much. Naman said, I'm trying to get those member numbers up. Wow. Thank you, Naman Nakama. Wow. And he's activating them during the review. Thanks a lot, Naman. Appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. That's very kind. I'm sure my audience appreciates that too, that they're all getting gifted memberships. Thank you very much, Naman. Wow. 25 gifted memberships. That's insane, dude. Thank you very much. Continuing onward with the stuff in this review, though, I liked the little sequence with like the firefighting giants, but obviously it was over really quick. Goes to show why their weakness is fire, because their firefighters are absolutely useless. There's a giant sleep-dead skeleton that slaps them out of the sky and they can't even do anything. So it is what it is. No surprise that their firefighter department is pretty mid. And then we kind of already knew the stuff with the thorns, the assumption that, Killingham and Summers were working together to, use their powers together. Thank you, by the way, to Fabrizi for subscribing over on Twitch as well. Nakama, appreciate that. Is there anything else about this chapter that I kind of want to mention? I don't know. I feel like, again, a lot of this time around was pretty obvious. I think a lot of the things that happened in this chapter were things we kind of already knew. Again, I just want to see more of Loki and Haruden and their relationship. And I want to, sooner rather than later, I want to see Loki fighting alongside Luffy and find out his whole past and his whole backstory. I still feel like, considering how quick the pacing of Elbaf is, I don't really have a problem with this one. I think this is like a totally fine setup chapter of them just getting all the characters together with where they need to be, and then getting little teases of things to come where you see like Harold in the past, and you see Loki, and you see Haruden, and you see the God Knight characters and all the other characters back at the tavern. You see Saul and the other characters as well. Thank you, by the way, James. Subscribing? Appreciate that, James. Thank you. Overall, though, I thought it was a pretty okay chapter. I don't think it's like an amazing one, but I still think the art is good, and it's still a solid One Piece chapter, and there's nothing in it that's making me go like, ugh, I feel like that's the thing. People always think that I'm too critical of One Piece chapters, but I really don't feel like I am, because I feel like when there's nothing that stands out as stinky to me, then the chapter's fine. I could sit and enjoy it even if I was spoiled on the last panel. I'm still enjoying the chapter. Whereas I feel like if something stands out and I really don't like it, that's when you start to get a problem. If it's like a setup chapter that doesn't really do anything and there's something bad, that's usually when I end up not liking them. But there's nothing bad here. It's all setting up interesting things. We just got to see more of it. And considering how quick the pacing has been throughout the rest of Elbaf, I don't really necessarily mind that you have a little bit of a down chapter. And on top of that, I also think it's really nice that we're getting a chapter next week. That it said that One Piece is not on break. So next week, we're getting another One Piece chapter. That's fantastic. I see James going, Roger, you're Oda's #1 hater. I promise I'm not. No, again, I like the designs of the characters, and I like the stuff we saw here. Exactly. I think it's a totally fine chapter. Good stuff, good setup. Nice to see more of these characters. Nice to see Loki freed, officially freed. And you see Gerd healing him up. And Rodo is obviously still there too. I guess the only other line I want to bring up is this thing, where on the last, or second to last page, Rodo said, it's true, whoever attempted to kill Loki, this is a separate incident from the matter of his own crimes. I think I might know who it is. Do you believe that Rodo believes this is the Celestial Dragons and the God Valley, the God Knights? Or is this somebody else? Because that is also interesting too. The way that they just had it trail off, if it was simply just the God Knights, I don't know. I don't think it would be trailed off to be a little teaser at the ending. You know what I mean? If it was just Shamrock, or it was just, the God Knight characters, pretty sure he thinks it's just Shanks. I mean, maybe he does, maybe. But I want to see more of that. I want to see more of the stuff with these characters. I want to see Loki healed up. I want to see more of the God Knights. But I do think Oda is potentially setting up for something there too. I definitely feel like with the 0-calorie food thing, though, I don't know if people have really been talking about that, but I think the fact that he focused on that for like 3 whole pages leads me to believe that is going to be something that's going to come up, where Luffy's going to need food in a fight, and the food's not going to give him energy because it's from Killingham. Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up my review of One Piece 1143. Let's see what James cooked up for the thumbnail this week. Let's see this. Let's see. Bada bing, bada boom. What did you do, James? What kind of goofy... What kind of goofy thing is this? He didn't know what to draw, so he said, I'm going to do a crayon Killingham. I mean, I kind of love it, though. But I'm like, what the heck is this? I like what he did with the actual art style, though. I like that it looks like fuzzy little crayons, and it looks kind of dreamlike. And I like the colors. You know what this reminds me of, though? James, did you ever watch the show Home Movies? It feels like it has the design style of the Home Movies character. There was also like another TV show that aired on ABC Kids or whatever. I was thinking dreamlike, so you totally got it. See, look at that, James. I mean, you did the right thing if that was what you were going for. But it looks very Home Movies to me. Like if I type in, hold on, Home Movies TV show. Like where you got the squiggly lines on the characters. This is a better example of it. You know what I mean? That is funny. I don't hate it, though. I actually think this looks pretty cool. And I guess we haven't done Killingham for a thumbnail yet, have we? So that's kind of cool. I also love what you did with the bubble, where you can see he's got his little mask on, and you can see the light coming off the bubble over here. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I do not hate this. I actually think this is quite nice, James. Satwick said, wait a minute, that's the actual thumbnail? That is indeed the actual thumbnail. To put in perspective how different this looks from the last one he did this for the break week for One Piece manga chapter 1040. He did this amazing, amazing, amazing artwork of Law and of Kid, which I didn't get the chance to show on the last stream. Really, really cool stuff. Really beautiful. This is for the Kid and Big Mom chapter. One of the old retro reviews that I brought back and I relisted. And then meanwhile, we go from that to Yoshi's story over here with Killingham. With the crayons and the dreamlike. I do think it's interesting. I think it's definitely going to make it stand out at the very least. Yeah, good work, James. I also was trying to figure out what his colors should be. I guess that's right. Yeah, we don't have a color scheme for Killingham yet. I mean, I got to be real. You were pretty much right on the ball for Loki. When you did Loki and you did like the purple hair, it was just like a slightly different tint, but you pretty much nailed Loki. Yeah. James said, I like my Killingham one better. Better than this amazing Law one? What are you talking about? Your art is good always, but James, come on, man. He also did his great birthday one over here. I just think the art style of each of these different three is very distinct. This one looks much more like Disney Adventures comic-like. This one looks like art print. And this one, like I said, looks like Crayon Yoshi Story. That goes to show how talented James is. That's why I've been working with James for 3 years. He's always changing things up, doing something different, doing something new. And Killingham does have a cool design, so I'm glad you took advantage of it for the thumbnail this week. Looks like the crayon phase of Kaido. Also, if you notice his manga coloring, it is kind of all black. He's multi-styled. Oh, you're talking about Clax. Clax said, James is multi-styled and also very talented. Of course he is. Except for the one fail I ever did with Emu. Well, I think it was just that you didn't know what you were doing with that Emu thumbnail. And you didn't know, like, with the art style, you weren't quite there with what you knew you were going to do with Emu. But otherwise, we fixed it later on. That was fine. Don't even worry about the Emu one, James. You're good. All the other ones have been great. All of them are great. Also, that Summers dude is insane. I do want to see more of Summers as well. I think his powers kind of cool with the Thorn powers and everything like that. I'm honestly surprised you didn't do Summers. That seems like a very James-coded character. Like the dude with the beard and the sunglasses and everything. I guess he figures at some point we're going to do Summers. But realistically, I think the thing that was more important out of that whole stuff with the God Knights probably was Killingham's dream sequence. So I do think starting with Killingham was probably the right choice. So well done, James. As always, as per usual, well done. Well done. All right, let's see what is going on in the chat. Let's see some of these donations. Let's see some of these Nakama questions. I'm going to start with the Nakama questions over in the Discord server. Again, if you're a member at the Nakama Tier It Up, you get access to ask your questions during the Manga Sunday room. Let me open this up and see what people said. Let's see. Manga Sunday. Go to the Discord server. Here we go. Couple thoughts on here. So we got one from Joker's Fallen One, who said, "Morning, Roger. What a great chapter Oda gave us this week. With the Holy Night Devil Fruit reveal, Loki and Haruden little flashback, Oda keeps delivering bangers. I do love that Oda's showing us the hierarchy of the Holy Knights when they were eating, which is great to see. But I do wonder if Gunko fights Zoro, she would be outmatched due to his inability to follow directions, which could defeat her Devil Fruit with ease. In all seriousness, I do feel Gunko is more serious to Straw Hats than Summers. However, the Straw Hats seem to be preoccupied with Loki at the moment, and hopefully a flashback is coming on soon with more of Loki. I saw the community talking about the fact that Loki was wielding the Kanabo like Kaido. Perhaps Loki and Haruden have another half-brother? Where's that coming from? Also, it's not a Kanabo. He was holding a hammer. I mean, I understand why people are saying he's holding it kind of like how Kaido was holding the Kanabo, but I don't know if they have another half-brother. Let's see. I do think Elbaf is still shaping up to be one of the best arcs, though. My only thought could be how to stop Killingham's nightmares. Does he need to be knocked out? Causing him to go to sleep doesn't seem to affect him. Just food for thought. I assume it is going to be something kind of similar to Doflamingo, where, to stop the birdcage, you had to stop Doflamingo entirely. My assumption is the way to stop all the dream things and the sleep tids, whatever they were called, is probably to knock out Killingham. So, yeah. Also, Clax said, actually, I do have one thing to say. I wonder if Oda's trying to parallel and contrast Shanks and Samrock a little bit with Loki and Haruden. Honestly, that's a good draw. That's a good potential parallel, yeah. With the two of them, with their father, with Garling, versus, Loki and Harden's father with Harold. And potentially if Harold did work with Garling in the past to bring peace to Elbaf, because again, he wanted Elbaf to be a peaceful nation to the point where he ripped off his horns. And then you've got Loki being seen as like this evil brother and Haruden being the good one. And then Loki and, not Loki, but Shanks and Shamrock. I do think that's pretty good. Obi seems to agree. You could hear him in the background. He agrees. That's a pretty nice little parallel that you drew there. That's very nice. Aaron said, based on what's been going on between Luffy and Loki, do you think that Luffy's innate sixth sense has already picked up on what kind of person Loki is? As in, is he a good or bad person? Do I think that I think Luffy's kind of in the middle right now. I think Luffy doesn't want to see him die, but Luffy obviously wants to get information from him. He wants to find out more about Shanks, and he knows that Loki teased him with Shanks' information, so I do feel like he doesn't want to take him out. I don't think he necessarily wants to kill him. Now, again, you can even see in this chapter when he was doing the Gum Gum balloon, he went kind of easy with it. He didn't infuse armament hockey and everything like that. He just straight up punched him. So, yeah, I don't think he wants to kill him, but I do think he's kind of indifferent. I don't think he sees him as a good person. I don't think he sees him as a bad person. I think he just sees him as whatever, this guy that he doesn't want to see die, and that he wants to free to get more information. So, yeah. Based on what was going on between Luffy and Loki, do you think that... Oh, that's what I already read from Aaron. Rob said, about the sleeptids, which could be a combination of sleep and cryptids. In the Japanese, they put the letters MMA for them, which could be pronounced Muma. The meaning of this could be, with the parts of speech noun common being... hold on. Let me read this in chunks. I don't know. This is like some AI thing that you threw in there in the middle. Hold on. So... Muma, okay, let me read this from the beginning. Rob, everybody stop typing for a sec. Let me read this from the beginning. Rob said, so about the sleeptids, which could be a combination of sleep and cryptids, in the Japanese, they put the letters MMA for them, which can be pronounced mu-ma. The meaning, and then you can see he puts a definition of a word, futsumeshi, which is nightmare in Japanese, with the part of speech being incubus or succubus, or demon appearing in a dream. The scans say it could be a reference to both Pokemon and monsters in Anpan Man. Well, I've never read or seen or watched Anpan Man, so I don't know that. But okay, that's interesting to note that there's potentially another little tie-in with the Japanese name. Could be pronounced Muma. I don't see the connection though. I'm still looking at this. I feel like I'm missing something, Rob. Futsumeshi, okay, is the word for nightmare. And then Muma. I don't see the connection between Muma and incubus or succubus. That's okay. It's fine. Doesn't matter. There's other stuff to get to. That's fine. Stefan Dog said, do you think they have the opportunity to flesh out Kaido more as a character through Elbaf if he's connected through Loki's flashback with potential connections to King Harold? Or do you think that Oda might not have time for that in this arc? I'm going to answer this real quick. Oda does not have time for that in this arc. I do not think we're getting any information, and I think this goes back to what Joker Fallen once said with his Nakama question. I don't think we're getting like any other half-brother. I don't think Kaido's related to them in any way. I don't think we're getting anything else with that. I think the stuff that they've set up already, there's plenty of other loose ends in Elbaf that need to be tied up before he starts introducing anything else. I feel like we are now officially into the setup before the main action portion of the story arc. Right? There's always like you land on the island, there's like the discovery moments. That's kind of what we got with the stuff with the Lego characters before. And then we got out of that, and then we get the introduction of all the characters. So we had the characters, you know, of the God Knights being introduced. We had the other giants being introduced. We had all these other characters being introduced. We got, you know, Shamrock leaving. I feel like all that setup, like the character introduction setup, I feel like that's gone. I don't feel like that's going to be... I don't think we're getting another 5 or 6 characters, or even 1 or 2 major characters being introduced again moving forward. I don't really know like if there's really any room for that. And to be quite frank, I don't honestly think we need that. I think with the characters we've got right now, we have enough to find out more about Loki and Harutin's backstory. We have enough to see the stuff with the God Knights, the characters at the library. You already have like 4 characters they've introduced at the library with like Principal Walrus and like Saul's assistant and things like that. I don't think really there's any room to add more characters. I think we're fine. You say that, but then Yamato came in 20 chapters before Wano ended. Yeah, but Wano, we all know Oda made a lot of mistakes in Wano. So I kind of excuse the Yamato thing as like the exception to the rule. Normally, Oda does not introduce super important characters to the current story arc late in the story arc. A lot of the time, he'll introduce characters later on that are important to other story arcs, but main plot characters, he doesn't normally introduce that late into the game. I think that's a big reason as to why I didn't really like the Yamato stuff. I like Yamato as a character, but I think because we spent so much time with Yamato and it was so late, excuse me, man, I got the hiccups. Because it was so late to the arc, I don't know, I don't see it happening necessarily with Elbaf. Because, I mean, we also got the stuff with Scopper during this arc as well, too. We got the stuff with Scopper Gabon and the fight with Luffy and getting the key for Loki. Katakuri was not introduced late. No, Katakuri was introduced the first third of the story, pre-Tea Party. I'm pretty sure Katakuri was introduced pre-Sanji versus Luffy. Yeah, it was way before. Because obviously the primary action and the stuff with Katakuri and the Tea Party, it all happens afterwards where you get his fight, but he was set up long before that. I remember that chapter well. Commander Dogtooth, oh my God. Back with the Jaimenes box scans, goodness gracious. King Waffle, by the way, came through with a Nakama message as well and said, I was thinking about Usopp's role in Elbaf. Everyone had their stocks invested on this being his big arc. Whole Cake is the only non-introductory arc where Straw Hat held the spotlight for an entire arc. I do think that Usopp's shine will be similar to General Frankie and Wano. He might fight a God Knight or something at best, but this is still Luffy's story through and through. However, being a brave warrior of the sea is Usopp's dream. Maybe we'll see more of that later. Could he be the first to fulfill it? And how do you think that will come to pass? I mean, I think he kind of already fulfilled it in a little bit with Dressrosa, with the God Usopp stuff. I feel like his fulfillment of like being a brave warrior of the sea, though, that's going to happen during Final War. But I brought this up on so many different streams. I feel like Final War and Elbaf are going to be so intertwined that it doesn't even really matter. You know, like I think the end of Elbaf is going to lead directly into Final War, and I think that dream of Usopp's will probably come true during Final War. So yeah, I don't know. I think they'll connect in some weird way. I think speculating on whether or not it's going to happen during this arc or during Final War is kind of a moot point at this point because we're in the final saga. So regardless, it's happening within the current saga that we're in because we're at the end. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. But yeah, I don't know. I've never said that I think it's going to be a super big arc for Usopp. I think people speculated that based on, you know, all the things we saw with him, but I kind of feel like we already got the payoff of that a little bit with the earlier chapters of Elbaf where you see, you know, the focus on Usopp where he's finally seeing things for the first time, or even the way that they did that commercial for the first Elbaf volume in Japan. For those of you who haven't seen that commercial, they did an official One Piece manga volume commercial that aired on TV where it's all the different moments throughout the course of the story where Usopp said, I can't wait to get to Elbaf. I can't wait to visit Elbaf. And it shows all the different manga panels and then they finally show up there and it plays the Elbaf music, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah. Also, Rob said, sorry for my Nakama question being a bit of a mess. I was looking at several tabs and copied an excerpt from the website Nihongo Master about the meaning of the word muma. Yeah, it just didn't really show up. I mean, for some reason, I think there is like some connection with the word muma. I've heard that before with Muna. You know the Pokemon Muna that eats dreams? That is something that like I've heard before. That's a weird factoid like translation thing that's been in my brain before from way back in the days of like Gen 5 speculation with the name of Muna. Because Muna's name is, I think, the same in both English and in Japanese. But yeah, I don't think it has any real relevance to whether or not they're called Sleep Tids or Muma or whatever. Like, it might just be like a weird lost in translation thing. But, well, anyway, let me start getting into some of these super chats because we got a lot of them. And I want to say again, thank you very much to Naman for coming through with those 25, gifted memberships. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. Nakama, thank you very much, Naman. All right, let me open this up. Let's see. Roberto super chatted and said, good morning, Roger. I'm just saying that I think that Oda's dream is closer to reality because they say that the dub and sub of One Piece is going to be simuldub when it comes out next month. That's true. Yeah, I think we talked about that during the last chapter review. That was news that dropped right around that time. People were asking if I was going to do a video on it or something. No, not really. I do think it's cool, and I do think it's a big momentous occasion that the dub is actually caught up with the sub now, finally, and that we'll be getting those. But yeah, I mean, I don't watch the dub, so I watch the sub. That would honestly be lovely, though, if we're at a point towards the final arc of the series with how quickly they're catching up, that Shueisha would eventually, or Toei, I guess, would eventually allow English to be simulcast every single episode. That could be nice. I do think they're probably going to wait in chunks. I don't think it's going to be like every single episode, one-to-one as they come back, like the same day. But I do think that would be kind of cool. At the very least, I could see it being like maybe brought down to like a week in between, where it comes out in Japanese and then it comes out in English the next week. That would be kind of neat. I'd love that. Maddie super chatted and said, this was a Met chapter to me, but I just wanted to give a small token of appreciation to the GOAT RogersBase. Thank you very much. Congratulations on over 500,000 subscribers. Thank you very, very, very much. We hit 500,000 since the last chapter. Pretty exciting stuff. I thought we were going to hit it during the Switch 2 Direct, but no, we hit it beforehand. Also, I want to say a special shout out for those of you who have not watched it. I know so many people were begging me to do that video about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood now that I finished the watch through. I know there's a lot of crossover with people who are my anime fans and manga fans with my One Piece streams in the morning. If you have not already watched that Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood video, make sure to watch it. It's kind of underperforming in a weird way. I feel like I was expecting the Full Metal thing, you know, I thought for some reason that would do really well, but it's underperforming a little bit. So if people want more Full Metal content from me or me talking about other anime and manga, make sure to go support that. But otherwise, you're getting One Piece from me and you're getting videos on all the other topics from me. And we got all the Nintendo stuff coming, so I got other stuff to cover. But yeah, I do feel like if you want more anime stuff, make sure to check that one out. Obviously, all my moderators have seen it, naturally, of course. North super chatted. Thank you, by the way, North, coming through with a $20 donation saying, Roger, do you plan on doing any more manhwa read-throughs after Solo Leveling? If so, I recommend Dungeon Odyssey. It's a kingdom-building fantasy action with the most unique art ever as far as manhwa goes. I mean, I do have a list over here of my Wheel of Webtoons, as I call it, which is different manhwa series that I might check out at some point. Let me add that to the Wheel of Webtoons. Let me see, where is my Wheel of Webtoons? I gotta find the right drive. 24-hour stream. Oh, I think I have it listed over here. Let me write it on the drive. I think this is the one that's the Wheel of Webtoons. Document. Here we go. What's the name of it again? I gotta pull this up over here. It is Dungeon Odyssey. I might have to check it out. Okay. Dungeon Odyssey. Manhwa for Wheel of Webtoons. I'll be honest, I don't think I'm really gonna ever do another read through the same way I did Solo Leveling ever again. But the way that I'm thinking of doing the manhwa stuff is like doing a Wheel of Webtoon stream where basically we use that roulette wheel and we go down the list of webtoons and we read the first 3 chapters of a different webtoon. And if we're hooked in those first 3 chapters, maybe we end up doing more of it. But I do think the idea of doing like a roulette and going through a bunch of different series and trying a bunch of different series and seeing what sticks is probably the best way to go about it, considering how backlogged I am with requests and things. So, but thank you. I'll take that into consideration and I put that on the list. So appreciate it. Roly Poly Oly says, I love your name by the way, says seeing Loki's size makes me wonder how big Cerberus's heads were when they pierced him. Well, obviously they had to be huge considering how big they were on that panel. Also, could Gunko's goggles belong to Ginny? You know, I actually saw a theory that Chanseal put out. Chanseal, who I've done like One Piece collabs with, officially with Shueisha. Chanseal Art put up an image theorizing that Gunko is actually a failed Ginny clone. And based on like the hat being looking like the Revolutionary Army, the rest of the face being covered, seeing the hairstyle kind of looking somewhat similar, and the face also covering potential freckles, I really like that concept. I think it would be really cool if Gunko ended up being Ginny. The thing about that is that we're probably going to know right away if that's real based on once we see Gunko's official color scheme. If Gunko looks like she has pink hair, maybe she is a Ginny clone, which would be a cool way to then give Kuma a fully happy ending here on Elbaf, where maybe he could be together with the clone of Ginny and Bonnie and and Kuma, especially considering the whole thing we know with the whole thing we know with Gunko is that her worst fear is Nika. And obviously Ginny, we know, worshiped Nika and believed in Nika, so I think that'd be kind of an interesting twist for like Gunko to be a failed Ginny to fear the thing that the original loved so much. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. I like that theory. I think it's an interesting one. What is the next one? Check out the Baku mythology. This comes from Just Bored. Check out Baku mythology. I think it's interesting, although it might not be related to the Kirin fruit. Okay. Mythology. Baku, supernatural beings said to devour nightmares. Okay. They originate from Chinese legend, and according to legends, they were created by spared pieces when the gods were left over, creating all the other monsters. Baku. Okay. The nightmare-devouring Baku originates in Chinese folklore and was familiar with Japan as early as the 14th to 15th century, with dream-eating abilities attributed to the Baku. And then amulets. I'm not going to read through this whole thing right now, but I'm just looking down here. Hold on. Described as a Baku with very similar attributes, was able to devour nightmares. Legend has it that a person who wakes up from a bad dream can call out to Baku. A child having nightmares in Japan will wake up and repeat 3 times, "Baku-san, eat my dream." Legends say that the Baku will come to the kid's room and devour the bad dream, allowing the child to sleep peacefully. But calling to the Baku must be done sparingly, because if it remains hungry after eating a nightmare, it could devour the hopes and desires, leaving an empty life. Interesting. Baku, yeah, I'm going to look up Kirin and Baku if there's anything tying these two together. Just says spirits of the East, but there's not really like any grand connection. Isn't this thing in Monster Hunter as well? Also, I think the Baku, isn't this what Musharna is based on? Or like Hypno and Drowsy? Yeah, the basis of Hypno and Drowsy, exactly. I knew this was something Pokemon related. Because again, I've seen this thing before. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Interesting. What was the next one? Oh, Austin, literally in the very next super chat, said, "I'm actually surprised that Killingham's Devil Fruit isn't the dream-eating Baku, considering that is the same yokai that Hypno and Drowsy are based off of." So literally, Austin Smith super chatted with exactly what I was going to say a little bit later. There you go. Okay. Muwadi, coming through again with another super chat, says, "A popular theory that I've been seeing is that we're going to get God Usopp pulled out of a dream at some point." Oh, like a legendary warrior Usopp, like he falls to sleep and then Killingham brings it out, and then reality is actually his downfall. And then God Usopp in his dreams, like the brave warrior of the sea, takes him out. That'd be kind of cool. I like that. Also, Ragnar is bigger than all of the other giants. So another theory that I've seen is that we're going to get a Mjolnir situation with Luffy. I would love to see Dream God Usopp, though. What do you mean we're going to see a Mjolnir situation with Luffy? You think that Luffy at some point, you know, not being affected by lightning is going to pick up the hammer and then like use it, like maybe go Gear 5 and be giant size like Loki and then swing the hammer? That would be kind of neat. I would love to see that. That would be really cool. Yeah. I would actually really like that. I'd like to have like a Luffy, Loki, Thor type moment. It'd be neat. Roberto also said, I know you don't watch the dub, but here's something cool that people are saying. The English voice of Emu kind of sounds like Colleen, who is the voice of Luffy. You know, Roberto, I actually heard the snippet of Emu. I almost did a video about it, but then I'd uploaded like 2 other videos that day and I didn't want to flood sub boxes. I actually saw the video of Emu speaking in English for the first time. It sounds to me like they took a female actor and a male actor and they blended their voices together and they just layered them on top of one another. Like they had them do the same line reads and then they just blended them and put them on top of each other. I don't really know what's going on with Emu's voice. And I'm going to be real. Like I've seen people speculating that like, oh, the voice in English is maybe teasing something to come in the manga. I don't think so. I will tell you from experience, having worked with, you know, all the English branches of, you know, Toei and Funimation and Crunchyroll and all this stuff, they don't have that kind of power. They simply don't. Even when we did like the panel at Anime Expo all those years ago for Film Red, where I was interviewing the producer from Japan and stuff, we had like questions that were set aside so that no information would be revealed and no information would be released. So yeah, I see people speculating based on the English voice, but I would say it means nothing. Yeah. I would say, you know, don't look too much into it. But I do think it's obvious, you know, the layering of the English and the male and the female voices and kind of how it sounds in Japanese and how it sounds a little distorted, that you're trying to get, or what Oda is basically trying to do, right, is to make it so that we are all speculating still on Emu, on what's actually going on with that character. So, yeah. I think that covers it. I think that's everything. I think that's all the super chats. I think that's all the theories. Let's see if there's anything else interesting in the chat that I want to pull up. It's all the Nakama questions. Oh, this comes from Excalibur saying, my theory is that Haruden will die. Loki will feel remorseful and end up upholding Haruden's dream of uniting all the giants, making the wall portrait come true because you see a Loki-like being in it. I don't think Haruden dying is going to be something I could see Oda doing. I don't know. I do think it's an interesting theory. I think that'd be a cool story thing, but I don't see a world in which he kills Haruden, considering he's one of the main members of the Grand Fleet, prior to the Grand Fleet actually ever doing anything. I finally caught one of these live. I'll have to watch a reaction later, but I wanted to pop in and say hello. Hello, Frank. Did you already discuss the cliffhanger at the end? We did. I wouldn't really call it a cliffhanger, though. I think it's more just like further confirmation that there's more to Loki's story than meets the eye, you know. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Uniqlo, by the way, because Uniqlo sent me, I don't know if you guys are noticing this. Look at this. Look at this awesome Berserk shirt I'm wearing. Isn't that cool? They sent me this and a bunch of the other shirts. I guess there's like a new, because you know, Uniqlo did like the One Piece line. They did the One Piece line and they did like the Nintendo line and stuff. They're doing a line right now for Berserk and for Junji Ito. And so they sent over, in fact, I'll show these real quick. These are cool. I wasn't planning on doing this on stream, but these are pretty cool. Let me show this. I still have to like unwrap these and pair them with stuff. But they sent over all these other really cool like designs. It's from their Dark Fantasy line. Look at that. With the Parasite, there's one of them. And then obviously I got the Berserk one, which I think is very nice. But then there's these 2 Junji Ito ones. You got the Spiral one over here with the Junji Ito one. And then this one I really love because this one is subtle. Unless you know the series, you're not going to know that this is Junji Ito. It's literally just the spirals. By the way, side notes, has anybody watched that show? Has anybody watched the Adult Swim adaptation? Apparently the first episode is like immaculate and all the other episodes are not good, which is a huge bummer considering that's one of the only horror manga that I actually really, really like. Yeah. I'm not really obviously a horror gore kind of person, but I think what Junji Ito did with Spiral is fantastic. Yeah. I sent you an explanation about the Muma thing from Anpan Man in a reply to your latest tweet. Okay. Let's look this up. In a reply to my latest tweet? Okay. Where is this? Reply to my latest tweet. Oh, just the one with me saying going live? Here we go. Live with One Piece 140. Okay, here we go. About Muma from Go Anpan Man. Nyani in the Land of Dreams. Okay. A nightmare monster sealed in the Land of Dream Cats. It has 3 eyes and an eye on its forehead that shoots a beam that transforms things into cats. It could turn its body into a liquid, and additionally, its body is rubber-like, making physical attacks ineffective. It was sealed within the Dream Comet, but awakened when Bakin Man caused havoc in Nenemu's forest. It tagged its natural enemy Nyanji, but after fading, Nyanyi, who became a swordsman and Anpan Man, Nyanyi exploited a moment when it turned to liquid to deliver Asisa's blow, turning it to crystal, and then shattered into pieces by Anpan Man's punch. I'm going to be completely real, Saeed. I'm going to be 100% honest. That confused me more. I don't know. That is not a good explanation. That confused me more. I understand that's an explanation for like the word, but in terms of the powers of the Kirin, it didn't really explain anything to me. I don't know if you talked about this yet, but killing M's food not filling people is good because it would clash with the food shortage otherwise in Marijoa. Oh, that's right. That's right, because of the supply ships. Wow, I didn't even think of that, Kasim. Interesting. I didn't even think of that. That's right. There's the whole thing for the first time the Celestial Dragons are starving because the revolutionaries are stopping the supply ships. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. I didn't even consider that connection. But there is definitely a connection there as well. Why didn't you like Gurren Lagann? That's I made a whole video about that. Go watch that. Also, I don't hate it. I just don't particularly like it all that much. That's all. But I don't hate it. All right. I think we're done. We're good. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming through to the stream today. Greatly appreciate it. Again, I will be back next week with my live reaction to One Piece 1144. Thank you again to all the members. Thank you to all the super chatters. Thank you to everybody who's been in here. Greatly appreciate all of you being here. This is great. Also, I see Golden Hearted says at the very end of this, Roger, from one theater kid to another, I just got an email about getting a part in a production this year. Congratulations! Break a leg in that production. Greatly appreciate that, Golden Hearted. Nakama. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone. Switch 2 Direct in 10 days. New One Piece chapter in 7 days. New videos coming out later this week. Thank you, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. Till next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Nakama.